it's Hannah. For the past year, I've been working with the Carleton Ravens, and it's been a totally awesome experience. One of the things that I've been doing is creating a series of weekly posters advertising games that feature 1 or 2 or maybe 4 players that are highlighted from the background and have a red streak, and I thought that some people might want to know exactly how I did that. So first things first, get yourself an action shot and open it up in Adobe Photoshop. The next thing we're going to do is we are going to make a layer from our background. Just press OK. Then duplicate that layer. And just press OK again. On top of that, we are going to create 2 more layers. Now you're going to need an accent color for your swoosh behind your action and a background color, which should be like a dark color like a black or a navy or a purple. So I'm going to use the paint bucket tool to fill in both of those layers. Okay, so put one of your background layers in between them and one of them above them. Now you can just hide that one for right now. Your top dark color layer, set the overlay mode to color, and then for the secondary, the one that's still shown, photo layer, set the opacity to about 20 or 30%. We just want to make this a little bit darker for right now. Now go back to your top layer. What we're going to do is we're going to make a layer mask, and then we're going to fill it with black. So that means that we won't be able to see it. So you'll go back to what you saw before. Now you don't actually have to do any of this part. I just like doing it because it makes it easier to do, but you're going to make sure you're still in your layer mask. Just go over with your white in the corner and color over your action-y person. This makes it a lot easier when you're using the pen tool just to like see where you're going. Okay, once that's done, you can zoom in a little bit, and we're going to go to our trusty good friend, the pen tool. And if you don't have a lot of experience with the pen tool, it takes a while to get used to, but once you do, it's super easy. I've tried so many methods for doing this, and this has been the only one that has worked as well as I like. So now what we're going to do is we are going to actually cut out our person. So you start at one side. Let's zoom this in a little bit. Start on one side, and then you click and drag so that it goes over the entire thing. This doesn't have to be perfect. If it's really big or really small, you won't actually see it, and also because the background's going to be darker in a little bit. There's going to be stuff to cover it. And then you can always just use short keys and go back if you really badly mess it up. The thing I like about highlighting him first in the background is that you can actually sort of see where you're going, especially if there's a lot of action in the background, because if you can't, then you might end up cutting off someone's foot or giving them an extra appendage, which you have to go back in and redo, which is not fun, especially if your team's hockey players wear white uniforms. Now, this is a lot easier with some action shots rather than others, because if you have, like I was mentioning, hockey players, the ice is white, our players at least wear white. Not exactly the easiest to see where they end and where the ice begins. Also, any images where there's a lot of people in one area, like basketball, especially since they have their fingers all strung out, it's weird. It's really hard to make fingers look good, especially when you're like cutting them out. Or like, people with really long hair that hasn't been tied back, and you have to sort of, can't go around everything and still make it look okay. So you have to sort of decide what hair you're going to include and which ones you're going to put into the background, and hope no one notices. So it's in like pieces like this that it's really sort of challenging if you don't know what the image looks like fully to see what actually you're going to be cutting out, which is why I have sort of the outline at the bottom there, because otherwise I've done it on multiple occasions where I have accidentally forgotten about someone, their arm or their hockey stick, or giving them an extra leg, and then I had to go in afterwards and remove it, which is not too much of an issue because they haven't gone to print or anything, but still kind of annoying. Okay, so once you've gone all the way around and you zoom out and you know you haven't missed any part of him, go into paths and then select the one that makes outline out of it. Make sure you're still on the layer 1, then select the inverse of it so it will delete everything around him, and then press delete. So now you've just got him, which is awesome. Okay. After that, what you're going to do is you're going to duplicate this layer, whatever, and then apply the layer mask. Now, the reason why we actually just make a duplicate of the layer and not go back through this layer is because of non-destructive editing, and that basically means, if you don't know, that you don't want to completely ruin your image. So if you do end up making a mistake in future steps, you can always go back and to that step and change it. So we'll just hide this one and keep this one here. Okay, so what we're going to do is actually use our highlight color, which in this case is red, but it can be literally any color you want. Use your own tool color, it's your favorite color, doesn't matter. And you're going to fill a new layer on top of the first one. And then create a clipping mask. So now it's right over your action person. This part takes a little bit of fiddling because it depends on what the image below has been using, but you want to basically give your image some highlights and lowlights so that when you put your swoosh in afterwards, it's not all the same color and there's a bit of dynamics to it. So I usually go for multiply, maybe sometimes just color. That one doesn't look good in this occasion. Overlay. I think this time I'm gonna go with multiply. Merge those layers together with Command E or using the merge function. What you're going to do is you're going to go back to your first layer that you didn't destructively edit. Yay for non-destructive editing! And you're going to put that above your other one. Highlighting your lower one again, you're going to go into filter and then motion blur. Now this is the really fun part because you have, this is where you change everything and make the little swoosh behind it. So what you're going to do is you're going to make an angle that goes in the same direction as the person is moving. So for example, if they're going sideways, you want kind of a sideways one. Just look at the image and it depends. So if you're doing basketball, it might be more vertical and up and down rather than horizontal, but if it's something like hockey, it might be more horizontal. And then you can set the distance for how wide it is. We'll go with this. Once you've done that, duplicate, oh no, don't delete the layer. You're going to duplicate the layer and then put the filter again. Now, if you've already done the filter, you don't actually need to go through blur and then filter. You can just do it straight again. So now you've got two that are the same. Put these two layers inside a group and create a new layer above it. After this, fill that one with your highlight color again, create a clipping mask, and set this to color. Nope, set this to overlay. Now what this will do is it'll just make your accent color a lot brighter compared to everything else. Going back into your group, you want to create a layer mask for this, and basically since the person is only moving one side, you don't want to have all of the extra blur on the other side of them continue on because they're not moving left and right or up and down, they're only moving up, down, left, or right. So what you're going to do is you can use the lasso tool or the pen tool if you want to be really specific, it depends on the person. You're going to take away half of that, and this is why I use the layer mask in case you need to edit things later. So after that you can click that, and if you're in the layer mask you can just press delete. Delete, and now it's only on one side of them. Now as you can see with this one, actually, you can see that there is a little bit of the blur from his foot down here. Now that's totally easy to fix and it happens all the time because people's body parts overlap. So go into the eraser tool or the brush tool, does not matter in this case, and set the size of it to pretty high. Now you want to make sure you have the one that has 0 hardness instead of 100% hardness, because then that means that it'll be more blurry and less really hard. Makes sense, this is hardness. For the opacity, I usually set it to 50 to begin, and then I can always put the opacity up or down as needed. And you basically just want to go through and using this tool, get rid of that from the other side because you won't actually see it. Now for that part, it's okay because you can't really tell. Once that's done, when you zoom out, you've got your thing. Now for this, I don't actually like what it looks like right now, so I'm just gonna blur them a little bit further so you can see it better. And then once that part's done and you're happy with it, you can go back and set the opacity of the image below to whatever you want. So in this case, I have removed the color overlay and put it back up to 100% so that you can actually see everything. Usually what I would do for the posters is I would put it back down to about 20 so you can still see the background, but there's action. Now, once you've done this, you can go ahead and add text in behind if you want. So if we put Go Team, then we can put that in. And then depending on where it is in the layer, it can go behind him. Then you can see that the red swoosh goes above it. And that's pretty much it. So thank you for watching and subscribe to my YouTube channel.